The secret power of a hidden hero. In a tiny village tucked between emerald green hills and winding rivers, lived a curious boy named Oriv. While other children played marbles in the dust, Oriv was obsessed with the world of superheroes. Every evening, he sat glued to an old television, mesmerized by heroes who could fly through the clouds. He marveled at their strength to lift entire buildings and the power to shoot lasers from their eyes. Oriv would wrap a red bedsheet around his neck and stand on a wooden stool to feel powerful. With his chest puffed out, he would shout at the top of his lungs, "I will save the world." He truly believed that being a hero required a mask, a cape, and powers that defied gravity. One evening, as the sky turned a deep orange, Oriv looked up and felt a sudden wave of sadness. He told his mother, "Ma, I wish I could save people like the heroes on TV, but I'm not strong enough." His mother, with her soft voice and wise eyes, smiled gently at her son's innocent wish. She patted his head and explained that the greatest heroes don't always look like the ones in cartoons. Oriv just laughed, thinking his mother was joking about heroes without magical powers. To the young boy, anyone without a superpower was simply an ordinary person. The next morning at school, a new teacher arrived named Mrs. Mira. Oriv looked at her with disappointment because she wore no cape and no shiny suit. She carried only a stack of old books and looked like any other adult in the village. However, as the days passed, Oriv noticed that Mrs. Mira treated her students with extraordinary care. She didn't just teach from the textbook, she made every child feel like they were important. In the back row sat Ravi, a thin boy in a worn-out school uniform who rarely spoke. While other teachers scolded Ravi for being slow, Mrs. Mira chose a different path. She would whisper, "I know you can do this, Ravi. Just try one more time." Oriv watched as Mrs. Mira stayed late every day after the school bell rang. She patiently guided the fingers of struggling children across the pages of their books. She received no extra pay and sought no fame, she did it simply because she cared. Oriv soon noticed that Ravi often shivered in the cold and never brought a lunchbox. One afternoon, Oriv peeked into the staff room and saw Mrs. Mira packing 2 lunchboxes. He followed her and saw her quietly sliding the extra meal onto Ravi's desk. She didn't ask for thanks, only whispering, "Eat up, Ravi, you need energy to learn." A few weeks later, the school announced a big exam that required a fee for the certificate. Oriv found Ravi crying behind the school building because his father had lost his job. Ravi feared his education was over, as there was no money left for the fee. The next morning, the principal announced that Ravi's fees had been paid by an anonymous donor. Oriv suspected Mrs. Mira, but when he asked, she simply winked at him. She told him, a child's dream should never stop because of a few pieces of paper. As the monsoon season arrived, the sky turned a bruised purple, signaling a coming storm. Suddenly, the rain began to pour like a waterfall, flooding the narrow village streets. The village river breached its banks, sending rushing rivers of mud and debris into the homes. Panic erupted as people screamed, trapped in their houses by the rapidly rising water. Oriv and his family huddled together on their roof, watching their garden disappear beneath the flood. Through the blinding rain, Oriv spotted a figure bravely wading through the waist-deep water. It was Mrs. Mira, carrying a small, frightened child safely in her arms. She spent the entire night working tirelessly with the rescue teams to save others. Mrs. Mira organized the village community hall into a temporary shelter for the displaced. She comforted the frightened children and distributed warm blankets to the elderly. Using her own small savings, she bought essential medicines for those who had fallen sick. Oriv watched her from a distance, noticing her clothes were torn and covered in mud. Though she was shaking from the cold, her eyes held a look of absolute determination. In that moment, the red bedsheet cape in Oriv's imagination completely vanished. He realized that Mrs. Mira was doing something far harder than lifting a car. She wasn't fighting monsters, she was lifting spirits and saving hopes from despair. Once the waters receded and the village began to rebuild, Oriv approached his teacher. Oriv asked why she gave so much of herself to help everyone. Mrs. Mira knelt down to his level and looked him directly in the eyes. She explained that every child is like a seed needing the right care to grow. She told him that helping one child could create a tree that shades thousands tomorrow. Those words carved a permanent place in Oriv's heart, changing his perspective on life. As the years passed, Oriv stopped looking for heroes in comic books. He began searching for ways to be a real-life hero through kindness and hard work. Driven by Mrs. Mira's memory, he studied day and night with intense focus. Whenever he felt like giving up, he remembered the secret kindness shown to Ravi. Eventually, Oriv graduated from medical school and became a highly skilled doctor. He returned to his village to build a free clinic for those who couldn't afford care. He spent his days treating poor patients for free, following the path Mrs. Mira showed him. When patients called him a savior, he would always humbly shake his head. He would tell them that the real hero who saved his life was his teacher. One sunny afternoon, Oriv decided to visit his old school after many years. He entered the classroom and found an elderly Mrs. Mira sitting by the window. Oriv walked up to her and handed her a beautiful bouquet of fresh flowers. Oriv told the gathered students that real superheroes don't fly or wear masks, they shape lives forever. As the school erupted in a standing ovation for Mrs. Mira, Oriv knew that a teacher's love is the most powerful magic of all.